Welcome everybody. Don Giannetti, lighting-essentials.com, Project 52 prosystems.com, and we're here with Elizabeth Favara, Elizabeth Monroe, and she's going to do a presentation for us. Elizabeth is a researcher and has been able to find a lot of pretty interesting things here about the actual value of photography and how we can take that information and use it as we're working with clients and convincing them to use us as photographers. So Elizabeth, off to you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thanks for jumping on. I've just compiled some statistics over the past few months. Not sure where I was going to put them, but it seemed like a good time to just make sure that they're out there, especially for anybody who is more on the business side. It'll be a little more exciting if you're participating in transactions.
Anyone there?
Who's someone?
I don't know.
Jay, your microphone's not muted. Your microphone's not muted, Jay.
I'll just wait so that everyone can have a chance to get settled in.
Okay, I think we're good.
Okay, all right, cool. So I am going to run through this pretty quickly because there's a lot of information, and like Don said, there'll be at the very least a recording for you. So just please make sure that you're muted, and I would propose just doing all the questions at the end, but we'll see how that goes. And what else? Is there anything else, Don, that I should cover? Let's see.
No. I agree with, let's do the questions at the end, but if you want to, if you're thinking of a question and you think, well, I better get this out here, go ahead and put it in the chat and I'll monitor the chat here. So Elizabeth, if I see something that we really should stop for, I'll let you know.
Okay, great.
All right.
And all of this stuff should just complement what Don discusses on a regular basis. And of course, there might be some overlap with things that he's already said. So just, if that's a repeat, then at least you're hearing it twice. And one quick note is that all of the images on here are from Unsplash, and there's image credits on the bottom. And as of this recording, all of the images were available and free on Unsplash. If the photographers revoke them, I can't do anything about that. And then also each slide has its own sources, and I can provide a list to Dawn of all of the sources if people want to go back and read the full articles later. So without further ado, okay, so let's see. Yeah, okay, so next. Oh, no, go back. Okay, so just a quick note, a reminder about human nature is we all know that visuals tap into human nature. The brain processes visuals very fast in the way that we evolved. Most people are visual learners, and most communication actually is visual, whether it's body language or pictures on a sign. So the question is, how can your clients tap into this human nature to boost their awareness, their brand awareness, and their sales? Because that's what you're helping them do by doing their product photography. So just broke it down into 5 topics. They might be in a different order from the announcement, but I just thought this was a good flow for today. So just some best practices on e-commerce from this perspective of image making, 5 dimensions of effective visuals, shooting for social media, planning with direct clients, and just a very quick few trends for 2021 that I found, little nuggets. So starting with e-commerce best practices, most consumers rank product photos as their top influence. So that's pretty important for any of your clients to know and be cognizant of. And shoppers just these days have very high expectations now. It's kind of like a cycle. You put something great up and then they expect it more. So the expectations are there. And, people might not think that's such a big deal, but if you see, especially, during this pandemic, purchases are just driving more and more online. Spending has gone up at an incredible rate. And you see in the middle line, customers spent $595 billion, up from 2017. The 2020 statistics are not out yet, but so far the quarterly analysis looks really high. So it's the number from 2019 to 2020 is going to be even higher than that with regards to online spending. And of course, e-commerce sales is the highest area of growth. So just a few quotes in terms of best practices. Excuse me. Good product photos act as brand ambassadors. Photos are at the helm of your brand, they say. Images are the first thing to grab attention. So these are just little quotes. Maybe if you want to grab them and put them on your own website or on your portfolio, just to kind of give motivation to your clients or your prospects. And I'll just let you read that real quick. Okay, so here's 5 dimensions that I kind of distilled for effective product visuals. Quality, accuracy, size, angles, and distinctness. So first up is quality. And research does confirm that quality counts. So those iPhone pictures just are not going to cut it. And let me just move this over here. Okay. And quality creates a good user experience for people who are shopping online. So that's also very important. So, and if they still don't believe that they need to be on board with quality, low quality images were the 3rd top reason not to buy something. And it can actually negatively impact your client's sales if they're posting those iPhone pictures or those little DIY pictures on their website. So accuracy kind of falls in line with that. People are returning photos, or not returning photos. People are returning products if it doesn't resemble what they saw in the photo online. So people are really taking that literally, and it's very crucial that the photo reflects what the physical good is going to look like, especially in terms of size, dimension, color. And I think Dawn's been covering color matching recently too, so. Another interesting fact is that a vivid and detailed image increases the perceived ownership. So if you're actually looking online and seeing a product with very detailed and very fine details and a lot of vivid color, you're going to actually feel more like you own that than if you just see kind of a stagnant photo. So, Good little factoid there. Size also matters. Shots, you know, we all kind of know this instinctively from just our experiences online, but sometimes our clients need to be reminded that they need those extra zoom pictures. So if you're helping to create a shot list, just make sure that you get into those close zoom pictures for them. Okay. And angles. How many pictures before they click buy? So this is another one for putting your shot list together and deciding how many pictures, if you're selling on a per picture basis, how many pictures should your client purchase from you? 3, 4, 5 or more is now the standard if you're going to be doing products, you know, front, side, at an angle, top view, you know, any kind of angle a customer needs to see in order to feel like they own the image or own the product and really can picture it in their home. Okay. And just a little bit more support from another source. This source says 6 images and 3 videos. So, and videos are becoming standard. I know some of the assignments have been like stop motion and video, and Dawn's been encouraging us to jump into video a little bit. So people are starting to expect that as they're seeing it more. And distinctness. So this is kind of interesting. I just called it cheapsy, kind of combining cheap and cheesy. People are now associating those kind of cheap, I don't know if they're monetarily cheap, but those cheap looking stock images that when a client or, you know, a company decides not to invest in custom photography and they just decide to get generic stuff online with a white background, people are actually associating those pictures with scam websites. Because they are relying on those, so it's creating a negative connotation. So that's something else to remind your clients, is that if they're only relying on stock pictures instead of real customers, people are actually getting a bad feeling from that. And signups were increased when you show a real actual customer in terms of, you know, showing the behind the scenes, or say it's a spa, or, you know, coaching services. People appreciate to see the real thing. And there's a silly anecdote down there. You can return back to that later because we've got lots to cover. And pictures that stand out, of course, we all know this, but it's down on, you know, it's written in research now that photography should not only be professional, but it should also be highly distinctive and branded. And so that's how we can help companies. Okay, here's a quick little break since we just ran through a bunch of information, little cats and pets and nice little animals, because the next section is a little longer. So just hold on to your hat. So this one is shooting for social media, and we're not talking about how to shoot for social media or dimensions or you know, lifestyle pictures. This is just more about the statistics that are coming out. So visuals, as we know by now, they're more memorable for people. So not only do we we learn quickly, but we also retain it quickly. So a few days later, we'll still remember that visual over anything we read or anything we heard. Even text platforms are now adopting imagery. People are putting more and more pictures into their tweets on Twitter. And these are some kind of ugly charts, but we'll just get through this quickly. As visual content is definitely soaring. People are, especially bigger companies, they see visual marketing strategies as an absolute necessity. And among visuals, photos are king. So on Instagram, for instance, photos received much higher rates of likes than graphics. Product images are more important than descriptions and reviews. And then if you do graphics design in addition to photography, yes, those are also important for visual campaigns. And visual marketing. So there's people have been in the past struggling. And again, here's some kind of screenshots of some charts, but the main thing you can take away is there's a lot of frowny faces. So marketers struggle to produce that. It's still kind of an unknown territory for a lot of people. One way to ease that is to do those automated publishing platforms. That kind of helps. We'll come back to that later. So the last slide, this 2019, 2020 says they're actually getting better. So people at least are feeling more success when it comes to their visual marketing. So the turquoise is the feeling of more success in 2020. Sponsored search is out and content is in. So 70 to 80% of users are just ignoring those sponsored search results. And 84% of people expect brands to create content. That does encompass written and visual both. Just any kind of content is now expected. So, and companies spent a varying amount of money on their content marketing campaigns. And you'll see in just a minute, guys, why this is interesting for us as photographers. So people have been spending $10,000, even upwards of $1 million on just on content marketing. That's not advertising, that's content marketing. And most advertisers or brands expect an increase in spending in that for 2021. So despite all that's going on with the economy, all that's going on with the pandemic, all the uncertainty, people do expect to increase their spending. And here's why that's interesting to us. As you see the money flowing, people used to spend, the largest on the high end, they spent $50 million per year just on those paid search ads that we saw a second ago are being ignored. And the average small business, they were spending anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000 per month, or $12,000 to $120,000 per year. Small businesses on those ignored ads. So in terms of increasing their content marketing, you can see that their budgets are going to be opening up for more and more visual content, which is what a lot of us produce as photographers. So just a few things that I've noticed about planning with those direct clients if you're not working through an agency, or even if you are and you have to have a dialogue with the client. These are just some quick little tips that I've picked up. And it's kind of funny, an entire country, Canada, promotes having professionally done photos, because entrepreneurs, that if you're working directly with them and they're like, oh, I already have a DSLR or my smartphone does it all. An entire country is saying that that's not such a great idea. And those low quality photos that they can't see the difference, they can't perceive it, the quality difference, they reflect poorly on the business. And when customers see that they're skimping, they start wondering what else they're skimping on. So, and going back to the content marketing strategy, a lot of these small businesses have not documented how they want to move forward with this. They're a little lost. They're just kind of winging it. So, you know, if this is something that you can plug into, this is a great way to add more services and assist your client with creating their content marketing strategy. Some ways to ease them into this. I can provide a link. There's all these checklists online, just, you know, checklists for them to check off of what they want, what they don't want. I have the full document and can share that later. And again, going back to those automated platforms, it's just kind of easing them into it if they're kind of scared about doing their content distribution. These we'll come back to later or in the review, but you can just add some little icebreakers. For instance, you know, when people visually saw people eating 2 pieces of gum instead of 1, sales doubled for gum, just because people saw it. You know, just, you know, let's eat 2 instead of 1, and then you're suddenly consuming twice as much. So there's just some fun little icebreakers to use with your clients to get them interested and excited about doing their content marketing and their visual content, because a lot of those statistics are a little dry, and while they're convinced, they just are not emotionally involved in it unless they can really. Can someone mute the, go ahead and mute your, I don't know, someone's not muted, okay. Someone not muted?
I can't find that, who it would be.
Benjamin Anderson.
Yeah, but he has no microphone. Ben doesn't have a mic, so it's not him.
Oh.
All right, well, if you notice that you're not muted, just go ahead and mute your microphone, whoever's out there. We know some of you are just grabbing a cup of coffee. Okay, so this is just ways to get your client emotionally involved, because as you can see, we just covered a whole stack of statistics. Their eyes are just going to glaze over if you throw too many of them. So these are just some lighter, more fun, more soft ways to get people engaged. Asking energizing questions and doing little exercises like identifying ways to describe their brand, picking out their color palette. Everybody loves colors and meanings behind colors, especially for like a social media profile. And just ways that brands can educate for your shot list, ways that, you know, you can provide education behind the scenes, transformations. Always, just a quick note, always beware are cautious of using the word before and after, because that gets flagged on a lot of, like on Facebook and Instagram, it gets flagged as misinformation. So transformation is a better way to put it. Behind the scenes, ingredients, sourcing products. So all these can be added to your shot list. Especially if they're wondering how to meet all of those, 5 images plus that they need to convert for sales. And then we're already at the end, guys. So these are just some very interesting trends that I saw for 2021. So the unboxing video phenomenon is causing direct-to-customer companies to invest in more fancy boxes. So if you want to be taking pictures of boxes for your portfolio, there's a good reason to do it. People are more and more humanizing their brand. So putting a human being or even a hand into that picture is getting more popular. These product categories, they might not be the most glamorous in some cases, but these are the top product categories going forward that are going to have probably the biggest budget. And then the most interesting.
Home essentials. That reminds me of framed prints.
Ah, there you go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the more surprising things for me, or that I just wasn't on my radar before, I guess, was that more direct to business and business to business companies are getting on the bandwagon of doing visual content campaigns, social media, and more exciting websites. So, that manufacturer who's selling little screws and pieces to fix your tractor trailer, they're gonna want their Instagram profile too. And also executives and people that are purchasing those products are looking to social media to locate what they want to buy. So it's all about the image, all about the photos. And that's it. So I kind of steamrolled right through that. So I hope everybody could catch up. It was just a lot to run through. So I wanted to make sure that we got through it for today.
Oh, very good. Let's see if there's some questions out there. I have a few questions.
Okay.
Are budgets increasing for this kind of work? Do we know that? Any way to?
For which specific kind of work?
For more visual content creation, are they opening up budgets to do this? And if they are they taking that money from somewhere else? Do you know?
I would say that they are probably taking the money from, I think it's implicit that they're taking money from paid search and putting it into visual content. So they're shifting their funds is what you can kind of deduce. And then content marketing is having a boost in budget in addition to that. So it looks like there should be more money flowing into it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm seeing some budgets get kind of all of a sudden there's some money out there to do it because the traditional influences are changing.
Mm-hmm.
If I was an agency, again, I don't think I'd put a nickel into television. Not a nickel. I'd put it all into social media, influencers, and content. All right. So if you have a question out there, here's a good time to ask it. All you do is unmute yourself, ask your question, and Elizabeth will answer.
Don, I have a question, if I may. It's Rick here.
Sure.
Elizabeth, just for my clarity, when you talk about the search and maybe companies moving their money from search, you're talking about like the Google paid ads and this sort of thing, where they may moving those funds and applying that more to actually getting visual content for websites, social marketing, this sort of thing. Have I got that right?
Yeah. Yeah, because the paid search, those little, when you do your Google search and you see the sponsored results or the keyword advertising, people on the most part have been ignoring it. So the success rate is really low for that. So yeah, they are moving money into visual content.
Thank you.
Richard?
Yep.
One of the things that Gary Vaynerchuk was explaining is that for the same money that you could buy one 30-second or 15-second ad spot on a B-level TV show and get X amount of response, you can buy a 10,000 YouTube pre-rolls and triple your engagement. So they're putting their money into that. Unfortunately, a lot of advertisers are putting their money into YouTube pre-rolls, but they just look like TV commercials. And so, people skip right through them. You got to get creative.
Thank you. I have another question on we talked about the number of images. You talked about the increasing demand, 3 to 5 to even more, all angles, and then the move to video. Are you talking there, Elizabeth, like 360, this sort of thing?
I didn't see anything indicating that they're moving to video, just that they're adding more elements. And yes, that definitely did include the 360. And among the articles, the sources that I have, you can definitely read more about which specific types of motion or video.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
360 is hot right now.
It's pretty impressive when you see it on certain products. It does make a difference.
Yeah. eBay says that it makes a huge difference on eBay, and Amazon is encouraging their people to do it as well. Really makes a huge thing. The only thing that you have to remember is that the 360 stuff is owned by a third-party server. So when you do it, it actually lives on their server. It's not something you can make and put on. It's not an MP4. It's a specific file that runs from that company's server, so they control the flow of it.
Yeah, I have an Etsy shop too, and they're sending emails encouraging everyone to put a video up with tips and everything too. So
I have a question.
Great.
I would like to, you had a slide about adding things to your photographs that humanize it, even as simple as a pair of hands or something, or, flowers or something that makes it feel more friendly and approachable. But I always think that social media images are small anyway. They usually go by rapidly. And I wonder could you talk a little bit more about adding elements to a photo? You don't want your product to get lost with the accoutrements being added, but talk a little bit more about how much that adds to it.
okay, sure. Regarding the speed of scrolling through pictures, there's a kind of interesting and kind of scary fact that humans can process pictures subconsciously faster than they can consciously. So they did an experiment where people were sitting in front of a screen, and it sounds a little bit like torture, but that's what they do. So they were sitting in front of a screen, and they just put a slideshow in front of them of images going so fast that the participants, the volunteers, couldn't keep track of them consciously. It was just, very quick slideshow of images. And then they asked each participant how they felt at the end of the slideshow, and their feelings, how they emotionally felt, changed in accordance with the images that they saw, but that were too fast for them to process. So if they just put up a whole bunch of sad pictures, even though the human eye couldn't capture all of it, the subconscious did. So in terms of speed, yeah, people are picking up on all the little details. The human brain is able to do that. And then going back to what to put in the pictures in terms of humanizing it, for a long time, so on the second example here, advertisers, even on television, have used this technique apparently called affective condition. It's a new term for me too, where they take a product and they place it next to other things that people feel good about. So, lately, people are feeling good about seeing other people and having things humanized instead of just having a sterile environment where the product is pictured in context. So that's why they say you see babies, sunshine, and flowers with detergent bottles, even though it's not exactly relevant to a detergent bottle. It's just because people associate good feelings with imageries of babies, sunshine, and flowers. So what they're saying is going forward for 2021 is that humanizing it and just putting more people in your pictures, people are feeling good about that. Maybe it's because we've all been in isolation for so many months. Maybe that's why.
Well,
So does that answer your question?
Well, if I could actually, yeah, I understand what you're saying, but let me just follow up a little bit. So am I kind of thinking you'd say Procter and Gamble would rather you feel kind of generally good about Procter and Gamble as opposed to maybe more product recall? I don't know if that was Tide or some other product, but man, Procter and Gamble always does these nice soft fuzzy things. I feel good about them. I mean, I wonder how these extra elements add to product recall and your ability to connect with the brand.
well,
Product, sure. Product recall, there's two elements of that. One of them discussed up here was having a distinct image. I'm just like scrolling back one by one. But yeah, images that stand out, increase awareness, and also recall. People use frequency, so just repetition.
well, even humanizing products been around for a long, long time. It's why so many women's shoe ads would feature models wearing the shoes so that the person looking at the shoes can picture themselves having it. They would do pictures of, I can remember specifically Windex. You'd have a picture of the Windex bottle, and over in the corner, you'd have a cutout of a hand spraying the Windex bottle. So it gives it dimension and the whole bit, but it also humanizes the bottle in that it's something that you deal with. Food has always traditionally had, knives and forks and napkins and stuff beside it. Doesn't have to, because that certainly isn't food, but it brings that sense of people to the food. So if I was shooting a handbag, for instance, for a client these days, especially for social media. I think I would shoot close-ups of the handbag so they could see the detail. I would shoot really cool shots of the handbag, but I'd also have the handbag, you know, in somebody's hand, or maybe hanging on the back of a you know, a poster bed, or over a fence. You know, if it's a Western bag, maybe hanging over a fence with a, you know, a cowboy or somebody leaning, looking the other way, so that you say, hey, this is the product, but people use this product. People are there too. You know, it's why car ads are always shot in really exotic, beautiful, incredible locations, because that's what we would like to do if we had a car. And we think, well, wow, if we had that car, we could do that. You know, it's base level advertising, but it works.
Elizabeth, this is Sarah Flannery. Thanks for doing all this research. My question was, were there indications of certain platforms being better than others for certain types of products? So you mentioned that the top online product categories were like health, health, hygiene, food and beverage. I mean, is Instagram better for food and beverage than Facebook, or was there any sort of indication on that?
Hi, Sarah. Just before I get to that, going back to the other question, if anybody wants to look at more of a contemporary version of the detergent advertising, if you go on Instagram to Method Products, their profile has those soaps and hand washes and stuff, and they use a lot of people in their pictures if you just go to Method Products. Okay, and in terms of which platform is better for which, it kind of, I would say, I mean, I would just have to speculate. I don't have anything currently on that, or I could dig deeper. I used to actually do marketing for a career. So I would say what makes sense narratively. So if you go to this page, and you start discovering, you know, you help your client make their, you know, help them put down on paper what their content marketing strategy is, then you start to uncover things. So if you want these certain images, what's going to work best on which platform? For example, if your product is a crafting item, is a supply, then Pinterest might be a really great place to do that, because Pinterest has a lot of DIY projects already there. So a lot of DIYers put things on Pinterest and tell stories like how to use this yarn to make, you know, a rainbow tapestry, or, you know, how to use this seed to grow the best basil in your garden. People are going to go to Pinterest to do that. And if you're a restaurant that's having, you know, a menu special every night, you might want to think about Twitter and including pictures. Like, people are more and more including pictures on Twitter. So, you know, a lot of times it just boils down to what makes sense for the narratives you want to tell. If that helps.
Yeah, thank you.
Well,
Okay.
Over the summer, actually in the fall, my wife and I were in Ouray, Colorado, and we were sitting outside. A group of people were near us, and they were looking for some place to eat, and they had their phones open, and they were talking about how bad the photography was from these restaurants, and they were judging whether they would go to these restaurants on the photographs of the food. If the photographs didn't look good, their attitude was, well, if the restaurateur doesn't care enough to make good photographs, how are they going to care enough to make good food? And I was really amazed. I mean, I didn't really engage them, but we did discuss the fact that there was a restaurant in Ouray, Colorado, population, 1,500, that sold lasagna for $90 a plate. That I thought was fascinating. And the fact that the picture looked really bad was even worse, because bad lasagna for $90 a plate is just not going to pack them in. So it's more and more important for consumer companies to get on board and understand how powerful their image is, and how they have to combat it, Elizabeth, when they have like people sending in pictures. I went to Frank's hot dog place, and this is the crappy hot dog they served me. Frank better get on the job visually, because words aren't going to combat that, visually, and show what they're really doing.
Yeah, so in terms of that platform, I agree. I've been seeing more and more proprietors, even Google search on their map. I think that's what you're talking about.
Yep.
Has a tab for user generated photos, and then another tab for the restaurant generated photos. So there is a good spot to put their professional photos right there on Google Maps even.
Yep.
Yeah, good point.
And it also then lets you know if the restaurant is actually living up to their own branding. Now that's not, we're not the brand police, right? But let's face it, if the restaurant isn't living up to their own branding, they don't deserve success. If their pictures are really awesome and they're just serving slop, then to heck with them, right? This gives them a way to prove it. So it helps them as a restaurant as well as it helps us. Who else has a question? Oh, come on, you guys. I know somebody's got some questions out there.
I have a question that is sort of a comment also, in that we're talking about add-ons, pens and flowers and whatever. What I was thinking is that each photograph, the image, is a contextual presentation, whatever it happens to be, and so the add-ons have to be sort of a dimension of the context that you want to communicate to the observer. So that would be my criteria for what to include or not to include, whether it's nothing or whether it's a whole bunch of stuff.
Jay?
Yeah.
Where are you? Are you somewhere where there's something going on? Because your audio is just like...
Yeah, I have a fan on my computer that's screwed up.
Oh, it's coming through it's going into your audio card, man. We can't understand what you're saying.
Oh, well, I'll just put it in chat then.
Okay.
Yeah, I did write a note in chat.
Okay, this is as much about context as to solidify the image and its message in people's minds. Yeah, I think so. You agree, Elizabeth?
Can you say the first part of that?
It's as much about the context, the photograph providing context, as it is the brand itself.
Yeah, because people want to envision it within their lifestyle. So, that product really fits with my home. It fits with my lifestyle. It fits with my beliefs. People are really picking things that align.
And they've proved that if you want to sell prints, you've got to show them what that picture looks like in your house. So they sell those, or you can make those graphics where you have a couch and a couple of end tables and then the picture over the couch. Let them see how big that is to a normal couch, and you'll sell more prints. And that's been, they've done A/B studies for the last 10 years on that. If you're selling prints and you're not showing somebody what that print looks like on a wall, then you're missing sales. And I would take it farther than that. I would have a contemporary seating arrangement. I'd have an Americana seating arrangement. I'd have something Scandinavian, 3 or 4 of the top types of styles that people design their homes. And I'd show that print in each one of them. Maybe it takes a different frame for the Americana than it does for the modern, but that's the point. You want to show that art where they live. Then to Greg's question, that's part of humanizing a print, showing how it works when it's in the home where you live. Who else? Hi, Sophie.
I have a question. Hey. Are you seeing that change with the clients, Elizabeth? Is that something where you're giving us a lot of pointers on how the wording to use and how to present? Are you seeing a difference in the behavior of companies? Are they becoming warmer to the needs, or it's still very much beginning times? I don't know how to word it properly.
Are you referring to this slide?
Yeah, and a lot of small businesses here anyway, where I am, don't understand the need for just a proper website, let alone proper visuals. I'm talking very small businesses and maybe some very local ones, not the ones that usually live on the internet or that sell products. And so for a lot of very small and local people, not small people, but small businesses and very local businesses, for some of them, the idea to grasp around that is still very hard here. So I wonder if...
Yeah. So some of my clients recently have been small companies that used to travel and do like pop-up shops at city fairs and events. And since all of those events have been shut down, the only way that they can sell is online right now. So they can't go and do their little tent and their little booth that they used to be able to do. So those type of people are definitely seeing the value. So if you want to find out who those are, you might want to go to websites for like music festivals and see who the sponsors were, or see their Instagram feed from last year, and see what kind of products and companies were peddling their wares at the events. Or if you know offhand, those are the ones who are now investing in online images. But yeah, I guess it just depends on how they're impacted by the pandemic. You can always kind of seed their minds with some of these statistics. But if it's a matter that they just can't risk any money right now, yeah, you just have to find out if they're getting small business loans or grants.
Sure. What about if someone's starting a business, you guys, and they've got a really great idea, what's the first thing they look for? What's the first person they look for? An investor, right? If you have somebody around and you think that they could really benefit from them, become an investor. Pitch them on it. Say, here's the deal. I want to do this and help get your company. I want to invest in you. If your company does this amount of money, then you pay me. But I'm going to invest my time into getting you going. The other thing that you take all this information goes into your pitch. When you're talking to somebody who doesn't understand, you can use this research that Elizabeth has worked so hard on. Use this research to back up what you're saying. And you can point to them and say, look, 80% of the people want to see pictures. You don't have even have a presence online. You're missing out. And another thing I would say to all of you, and we've talked about this in Project 52, those of you who are in Project 52, there's nothing that says you can't do payments over time. There's absolutely no rule that photographers that they have to pay you every nickel the moment you deliver. Give them terms. Just make sure that in your contract, it states that they do not have the legal permission to use those pictures until it's paid for. If they use them ahead of time, that's great, but they now got to pay for them. You have a contract, you're going to win, and you're going to get your money. Not only that, most people won't screw you over. Otherwise, banks wouldn't lend money at all. Most people are good for it. Help them out. If it's $1,000 thing, get $600 up front and 2 payments of $200, or get $500 up front and 2 payments of $250. Don't get $250 up and get a bulk payment of $500. Don't do that. You can't do that as a business. You've got to clear your own hurdles there with that, and then you can put off the balance of it. But there's no reason at all that you can't do that, and you can pull out this stuff. More online storefronts, the unboxing video. That's a powerful thing. I did that 10 years ago when I was working with did all the marketing for a boutique in Scottsdale. The way we built that boutique from literally brand new to the #1 franchise in the nation in 6 months was unboxing videos. All the merchandise would come in, and the folks working in the place would get little videos, little 10 and 15-second videos of opening up the new merchandise, shoes. It was a woman's fashion boutique, shoes and accessories and cool skirts. And the girls would hold them up and go, oh, isn't this really cool? And they'd Twitter them out. So every Thursday they'd send out about 20 little Twitters. They'd sell out by Friday evening, be sold out. So this stuff's been around for a while. It's just getting more and more and more important. I don't think any of us on here would even think of trying to put something on eBay without a really good photograph of it, right? So you've got to get that message to them. All right, any other questions? We've got time for 1 or 2 more questions if you've got one. All right, well, Elizabeth, thank you. Are you there?
Okay, yeah, I was just checking the chat to make sure I didn't miss anything in there. But yeah, it looks good, and we'll make this information available so that you can review it at your own pace.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for doing this, Elizabeth. This is fantastic. So appreciative.
Cool.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth.
Is this a slide deck that you could make a PDF from?
Yeah.
Wonderful. I would love that. And send me all the places that you want me to link this to for you, okay? So I put on YouTube, I want links to your website or
okay.
all that.
Okay. Yep, sounds good. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth.
Thanks.
Thanks
All
everybody
right.
for coming.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye.